I'm going to bring in two investing evangelists with sort of different approaches, but the same goal of always outperforming the market. Invest Diva CEO Kiana and Danial, along with the chief macro strategist at Panicking Research, Lenore Hawkins. Lenore, let me start with you. All of the hot themes have cooled. Some have cooled considerably, getting hammered. What do you think about what Jim had to say? He also suggested that some of them aren't even going to come back, and maybe it's time to move on.
Well, I think part of that depends on what you consider an investing theme. We've definitely seen a lot of investors getting into something just because it was hot. And that was a great lesson for new investors. Don't hop into something just because everyone else is. You want to look for those things that are really long-term growth opportunities, where you see huge trends going on that aren't going to change based on, little swings in the economy and swings in the market. Those things that are going to happen no matter what.
Kiana, I see that you help new investors. You post all of these upbeat videos on investing. So what are you telling newbies who are panicking right now?
Absolutely. I would tell them not to panic. I actually have to agree that long-term, if you're investing long-term, you shouldn't be worrying. And the confidence and emotional management really comes down to knowing your risk tolerance before getting into these hot assets. If your risk tolerance is low, if you don't know about what you're investing in, then you shouldn't get into them. And at the end of the day, I actually am a value growth investor as well, even though some of these value growth investments like cryptocurrencies may come across as hot, but the only reason I'm investing in them is because I know that these have long-term value. So I don't go into the markets blindly just because my cousin told me about this hot stock. I actually do my due diligence. I look for companies or cryptocurrencies that improve life, that solve problems long-term, that help people do things better, faster, and cheaper. And most important of all, I actually invest in companies and cryptocurrencies that do something good for the humankind. And in that case, then even if those assets drop in prices, I won't be panicking because I know that long term, they're going to figure out a way to go back up.
Well, it's good to have that comfort zone for sure. And certainly if you don't know what you've invested in, it's a lot harder to hold it when it's pulling back. Lenore, I know you've learned some lessons the hard way, rather, like a lot of us. Can you share 3 things that you think people need to know before they start investing?
Oh, definitely. You've got to know. How much time can you devote to monitoring your investments? If you can devote just maybe an hour or 2 a week, then be very careful what you invest in. You don't want to have a portfolio full of like 20, 30 stocks. You're not going to be able to manage that. Look more for funds where you don't really need to stay on top of it because the fund itself is going to be a bit more stable. You want to understand your risk tolerance because you need to sleep at night. If you're going to be panicked about your portfolio moving up and down 10, 20%, stay away from the really volatile stuff. And you also want to know, are you in this for long-term growth, or are you looking to maybe supplement your income day to day? Because that's also going to dictate what kind of investments that you're looking to go into.
Kiana, one thing I saw where you talked about investing in cannabis, it feels like the weed stocks have kind of lost a little bit of their luster to crypto and other things. Today, of course, being 420. Is that still a space people should be looking at, particularly with the House passing some favorable banking laws today? Maybe one day the Senate will do the same?
Look, so when it comes to cannabis, actually the interesting thing is that the funds may not be the best place to go in, because my understanding is that those are the ones that are looking into the pump and dump type of stocks. When it comes to any type of investment asset, the first thing you want to know, as I said, is to know why you're getting into this. Do you actually know about the cannabis stocks? Do you actually know about cryptocurrencies? And do you, personally, I think that this is going to be the future, because a lot of people are, because of the laws that are getting passed, and because of, you want to look long term, like you want to look 5 years, 10 years. Do you think that this is going to be an industry that's going to be around? If yes, then what are the companies that are going to be around in 5 or 10 years? And that is how you can actually make a decision to get into this or not. I would actually also add into this, and thus in the sense that, so when it comes to, for newbies, right? The most important thing that you want to know is actually knowing your ability to take a risk and knowing what you're getting yourself into. I think I'm repeating myself, but this is super important, because that is the key to your emotional management at the end of the day.
Although although it's sort of easier to said than done, right? Today is a really challenging day, and today I invite everyone to go back, look at what you own, listen to Lenore and Kiana, because some things you may have to sell. Taking a loss is part of this venture, but you got to stay in the mix. I wish we had more time, Lenore. We'll talk about some of your EV ideas because I feel like those are oversold as well. I want to find out what we should be buying when they turn back higher. Kiana, both of you, thank you very much.